All right. Well, welcome everybody. My name is, just to be sure that we're all in the right place, the right time, on the right subject. This is Rhode Island that is presenting Unit 5. Excellent. We're all on the same page. My name is Richard Leiter. I'm a professor and director of the Law Library at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, Nebraska, out here in the heart of the heartland. I've been judging these state competitions for many years. This is my first time at the national level, and I'm glad to be here. My fellow judges.
My name is Candida Steele, and I'm retired as a judge on the U.S. Civilian Board of Contract Appeals. I handled government contract cases around the country, and I'm from the state of Maryland, and I'm thrilled to be here. I've been doing this for 20 years, and it's the highlight of my year. So welcome, everybody.
Good morning. I am Lieutenant Colonel Kurt Mabus. I'm an attorney with the United States Air Force. I'm currently stationed in Colorado Springs, Colorado as a professor of law at the Air Force Academy. And I'm an alum of the program and been judging for a few years now.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you all introduce yourselves?
My name is Zoe LaChance.
My name is Matthew Martin.
My name is Davis Carter.
My name is Jiggy Sanada.
My name is Thomas Towers, and we are freshmen at Mrs. O'Brien's We the People class in North Smithfield High School.
Welcome.
All right, well, let's get started. As a result of the decision in Wisconsin versus Yoder, a result of the book, I just turned off my iPad. Let me get this. Okay, there we go. As a result of the decision in Wisconsin versus Yoder, is that any parent or guardian can refuse to let their children go to school beyond the 8th grade or learn about a subject by saying it's against their religious beliefs. Do you agree or disagree with the result of this decision? Why and why not? What words, if any, are found in the US Constitution or in state constitutions that protect the right to an education? And how have courts balanced religious beliefs with other beliefs?
The right to freedom enumerated in Amendment 1 has two major provisions: the Establishment Clause, which provides for a separation between church and state, and the Free Exercise Clause, which protects the right to believe and the right to act upon these religious beliefs. The question courts continuously face is where to draw the line when evaluating governmental actions that may infringe upon religious beliefs. In West Virginia v. Barnett, the court declared the mandatory flag salute unconstitutional because it violated the religious beliefs of some students. In a 6-3 ruling, Justice Jackson declared the policy was unconstitutional because, quote, if there's any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in matters of politics, nationalism, religion, or other matters of opinion, or force citizens to confess by word their faith therein, end quote. This case showed how the court balances religious issues by making sure there's a compelling state interest in preventing religious practices. Issues with the Free Exercise Clause continue to arise.
In 1972, a question arose regarding an Amish student whose parents did not wish for them to go into high school due to their religious beliefs. This was the case of Wisconsin v. Yoder. In a 7-0 ruling in favor of Yoder, Justice Warren E. Berger wrote that the court found that the values and programs of secondary school were, quote, in sharp conflict with the fundamental mode of life mandated by the Amish religion, end quote. As a result of this decision, the courts were asked to balance society's need for education against religious liberty. Ultimately, no compelling state interest was found.
Within the U.S. Constitution, it has been made clear that nothing directly states anything relating to education. As shown in Amendment 10 of the U.S. Constitution, the powers that are not given to the national government by the Constitution are given to the states, so long as nothing is prohibiting them from doing so. Due to this fact, all state constitutions have a section for education. For example, Article 12 of the Rhode Island Constitution enumerates certain rights to an education. However, some people are not happy with their state's educational rights. A group of Rhode Island students is arguing in federal court that the right to a civics education is guaranteed at the federal level through the 14th Amendment. In this case, AC v. Raimondo, the plaintiffs argue that denying students a, quote, meaningful opportunity to obtain a basic education would prevent them from effectively and intelligently participating in civic life, end quote. The district court ruled against the students, despite agreeing with them that every student had a right to be an active citizen in a democracy. The case is currently being appealed. This shows how the laws of education and the rights it entails are constantly trying to be changed by both the government and students, and will continue to be changed throughout all states when people feel their rights to education are threatened.
The courts have balanced religious beliefs with other rights. In court case Employment v. Smith, a Native American tribe used hallucinogenic drugs that were legal in the state. They claimed they had a right to use the drugs due to the Free Exercise Clause, but the Supreme Court disagreed. They held that the law was neutral and did not target a religion or religious groups. It was still legal for them to use hallucinogens. Despite this case, religion often takes priority over inconveniencing people, despite them being the minority. As shown in Good News Club v. Milford Central School, the court ruled that religious after-school groups can be allowed to meet as long as they can meet on the same basis as normal after-school groups. Despite these religious groups being in the minority of the school groups, they still got an equal amount of time to meet after school as the non-religious groups, showing the power of religion in the United States. In addition, harming others religiously will also be considered unconstitutional in the Supreme Court. As shown in Massachusetts Cake Shop v. Colorado Rights Commission, in which a man refused to serve a gay couple a cake due to his religious beliefs, religion can take priority over inconveniencing other people. If it's to the point where religious beliefs can get other people hurt or killed, it will not take priority over that.
To sum up, due to the result of this decision for Wisconsin v. Yoder, some new changes have been made to education in the United States. The growing power of education that the national government has is more apparent now than it ever was. Even without mention of education in the U.S. Constitution, the national government has been making more and more changes to the right of education at its core in the United States.
Thank you. Well, let me start us out with a general question here that you have been touching on. But how should a student's right to an education specifically be weighed against a parent's religious belief?
I think that based on that question, the education of students up until probably the elementary is still very important because it teaches them how to be basic citizens of society. It teaches them certain things like manners, and something that a parent should not deny the student, no matter what. But when it gets to a point where they learn more advanced things, like in the case of Wisconsin v. Yoder, it makes sense under the Constitution that the parents would be allowed to choose for their students to not participate in, at the very least, certain activities of schools if it goes against their religious beliefs.
How important are the
What
students? Oh, I'm sorry. Candida,
I was just going to say, what age do you think
there.
children should have a say? And why?
I suppose perhaps at the beginning of teens, perhaps children usually then are more developed enough to make their own decisions with their lives. They're at a higher point in their grades, and at the same time, their parents should be able to have some sort of say in perhaps what they might be able to do and not do in that case.
I
It
agree
makes
in
me
those.
think about, sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, Zoe, go ahead.
I agree with Davis. I think that the choices that they make at that age are going to impact what they want to do as an adult. So I think especially at that age, when you go into high school, the decisions and the classes that you sign up for and the choices of if you're going to a certain class are going to affect what you want to do. And that's your own choice. So I think that students should have more of a say when they're in those grades where these decisions for their classes can make the biggest impact on their life. It seems to me that there's a relationship to that kind of decision
with divorce cases, when do judges start asking kids what they want to do, what parent they want to stay with? I mean, that seems like a reasonable age, but is that what the courts have done, do you think? Do you have any experience with other cases that rely? Go on, Kurt, why don't you ask a question? That's going down a rabbit hole.
Sure, not a problem. I'll actually take you all back to your opening statement because you mentioned both Yoder and I think it was Matt who noted that there was no compelling state interest in that situation. And then later you talk about Smith. I'd love for you to compare and contrast those cases because they're both free exercise clauses. Do you agree more with the Yoder decision, the Smith decision, and why?
I agree a bit more with the Smith decision because in that case, the law was totally neutral. The hallucinogens either way were illegal to both religious groups and non-religious groups. So it makes sense that it would still be illegal for them to use the hallucinogens. Though in the case of Wisconsin v. Yoder, it was a specific exception for Yoder in that scenario. So I do disagree with that case slightly more because it does imply that religion is sort of getting these added benefits that is not shown in Employment Division B. Smith.
Yeah, going off of Davis, if you start giving a group too many exceptions solely because of their religious beliefs, it slowly starts ruining that separation between church and state, which has been many times supported and needs to be there for our country to be successful. So, of course, religion should be protected, but it should not be above everybody else.
Could you expand more on separation of church and state? What does that really mean?
Separation between church and state is to separate the government with religion. So there's a thing called the Lemon Test, which says that basically the government or schools or anything relating to the government cannot do anything that would support or promote education. It cannot entangle the government with religion. And so it basically is to say that the government just cannot be promoting certain religious groups or any religion at all because it's not exactly their place to do so, and it can affect religious and non-religious groups.
I also think that this is to stop such things as established churches, which was a big problem in colonial America, when a lot of the states, even though they're escaping religious persecution, set up their own established churches, which caused a lot of different people to be moving from the different states, which of course caused a lot of separation. I think that one of the main reasons that we have this freedom to believe and act upon these religious beliefs, and then the reason that we have the separation between church and state is that we don't go back towards what we had in Great Britain and what we had in colonial America that caused a lot of separation, division, and segregation of different religious groups.
That's what my colleague said when she talked about establishment of churches and religions in the early United States. If a religion begins to take priority and becomes established in the U.S. government, they will often most likely get priority, like the early America, which could disadvantage the other religions and cause more problems than good.
So I want to turn a little bit more, with 1 minute left, I want to turn a little bit more current events. And I want to apply what you've learned about this to vaccinations and sending students back to school. Can schools require vaccinations even if it's against an individual's religious tenets?
I think that is definitely possible for them to require it because there's always the option of having online school. Also, it's pretty much necessary for the school to have vaccinations for the health reasons and concerns. And it's just necessary for that.
Yeah,
I think.
and
Oh, go ahead.
okay. As Thomas said, it's a huge health concern, and there is an alternative. And since the schools also require different vaccinations, which you have to prove you've had at the
Fine.
beginning of the year,
Finish your sentence.
Go ahead.
you should, and with compelling state interest, the schools should be able to make it so you have to have a vaccination to come back to school.
Great. Sorry to have stepped on you there, Kurt.
No, not at all, Richard. So, all right, well done, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, good job. Thank you very much. It's now our time to give you a little feedback. Kurt, do you want to lead us off?
Please, thank you. First of all, I want to just confirm, did you all say you're freshmen? Is this a freshman year group?
Mhm.
I am amazed.
That was very impressive.
I'm
Yeah.
amazed. Yep.
Yeah.
I teach Lemon, I teach Smith to cadets at United States Air Force Academy. I would have taken your answer as any of their tests. So,
Yeah.
well done. Yeah. Here's my challenge to you. You answered the question, oh, when they're that age, for the first, that's you, that's y'all. That's the decisions that you're making now. Are you comfortable with the decisions you make to impact you when you're our age? It's a challenge, and it's something that the court struggles with. I'm just so impressed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd let you 5 decide for the rest of your life. That was really good. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Candida.
Go ahead, Richard.
I was blown away, especially to find out afterwards, because I missed it the first time around, that you are a freshman team. I'm really impressed, and I'm telling you, we should probably warn the rest of the teams that are coming up to look out. You guys have clearly done a lot of reading and have a good understanding of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and these cases that we were talking about. You've done the reading, you understand what you're talking about. That just makes my heart feel great. I think it's one of the things that's lacking in the world today is an understanding of government and the Constitution. You guys are definitely well prepared to bring an understanding, a deep understanding of how government works and how these things work to your colleagues in your future. So good job.
I agree. I thought that was just a really wonderful job. As these gentlemen have said, you are well prepared to be well-educated and involved citizens, and I hope you will use this experience. I'm sure you all are, to have done such a good job, you must all have been inspired by this experience, and I hope that it will make you certainly better citizens and well able to influence the people around you to learn what they need to know before they go vote and to go vote. And I'm sure you'll be voting every chance you get the rest of your lives. But I hope that it will also inspire you. You know, you may want to be doctors or dentists or in the military, but you certainly can be very helpful to the rest of us if you would consider representing us in local or state governments, or being a lawyer, or you certainly have the ability to figure out what's going on around you. You'd make great lawyers. You would make wonderful representatives for us. And I have to say, if I'm sitting in my rocking chair 3 generations above you, I will feel a whole lot better to know that you all would be representing me. So thank you. You've done a wonderful job, and I hope that this will inspire you greatly as you go forward, because we're very glad to have you taking over. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice job, Unit 5.